copyright and find out everything they need to know. So when you submit to AU Space, you do have to agree that you have permission to post the article to an institutional repository or your own personal page. If you're not sure of copyright, which is often the case, there is a tool called Sherpa Romeo where you can go and look at the publication policies of a lot of publishers. It's certainly not all publishers, but a lot of publishers, and you can find out there possibly if you can post it to your institutional repository. And it is a little tricky, but luckily very clear about what you can do. Some will allow only posting the preprint version. Some will only allow the postprint. Some only allow the publisher's version. Some will not let you post the publisher's version. So it's a great resource to go there, and you can find out often there, without going any further, what you can do with your publication. And the other tool that people can use is called the Spark Copyright Addendum. So if you are submitting it to a journal that doesn't allow you to post, in their policy doesn't allow you to post to an institutional repository, you can attach, it's called the Spark Copyright Addendum, which basically, along with your submission, you can go there and you attach it to your submission, and it gives you permission to post it. So again, that's a useful tool. So this is the sort of workflow, and might answer some of, or help answer some of the questions I saw in the textbooks earlier, though we'll address them after we're done here. There's basically a workflow that we can set up for a collection. So if it's your own collection, it's really simple. You just have permission to go and submit something. But if it's a bigger collection, there's a number of things we can do. The first one is you can have somebody or a group of people that are set up to accept or reject submissions. So that's sort of the first workflow step, is they can accept this submission or reject it. Another option would be to accept or reject the metadata. So you can say, I accept the submission, but I want the person to refine the information about this submission. Or another option is to have somebody that actually edits the metadata and then submits that as well. So there's sorts of lots of levels that we can set up for a community or a collection to make sure that the quality of what is going in there is what the collection administrators or community administrators want. So this is what an administrator of a collection or a community would see when they're administering it and there's a new submission. So they get the information, they can see the file, and they have some options here. They can approve the submission, reject the submission, edit the metadata, select do it later, or return it to a pool where somebody else can work on it. So you can take it out of the pool for you, and then if you don't want it, you can return it to the pool. So this page sort of shows what a final product could look like after somebody submitted it. So in this case, we see the date on the left-hand side, the title in the middle, and the authors on the right-hand side. We've already seen what the item looks like. Tony's shown you that already, and I think it was probably one of the things that I clicked as well. But this then is part of a collection. It's part of a greater community, part of AU Space, and it's searchable via Google and other search engines, as well as other harvesters like the Carl harvester that Tony showed you. This is a really nice diagram showing what AU Space does in terms of organization and preservation. We have submitters, and I think if you imagine, somebody, an academic with a messy office, they have a lot of files, a lot of different pieces of information about those files, and then potentially, they have Word documents, PDF documents, video, audio, all sorts of things. So they basically can put this into AU Space. It gets organized by first, the item that we talked about before, organized into a collection, the greater community. Collection curators can then go through these things and make sure that the formats are up to date, so that perhaps in a few years when PDF files are there's many versions ahead, we're able to update them and make sure that they're going to be accessible to users. You can see in the bottom right-hand side that the user there is retrieving the information in a really organized way. So that's basically, a nice way of showing what AU Space does. It takes a jumble of things, organizes it, preserves it, and makes it easy for the end user to find and understand. So this is the current status of AU Space. We've been operating it for about 5 years now. We have quite a few centers and faculty interested. Again, I mentioned that I see some of the names up there today are faculty that do have AU Space collections. We currently house, I think it's a little more than that now, it goes up every day it seems, but over 1,300 items anyway. And I just had a look at some statistics this morning for the last 5 months. We've had 92,000 item views. Our most viewed item was 1,065 views. And the one I mentioned earlier, which ranked highly, which was not something that you'd think would rank high, it was about 700 views, which just shows that with the right keywords, you'll get a lot of people having a look at it. So I'd just like to take a minute now and ask a question and see how many people have used an institutional repository. If you can just, again, click the green check if you have, and the red check will be great.
I'll just give everybody a second, and then I'll post the results.
Okay, so that's I think a really good number to have there, 30% yes. Maybe it's the people attending Open Access Week are maybe more likely to use it. I know that 30% of our faculty, it's not that high certainly, but I'm really happy to see that number. And just to comment on something I saw from Alan there, you may have accessed it without knowing, and of course that's certainly possible. You can link directly to the files that are in AU Space, so people never have to even know that they've hit AU Space sometimes. I think that's probably often the case. They're just clicking somewhere and the article comes up. So this is our conclusion that Steve Schaefer, the Director of Library Services, isn't here today. He ended up having to go away to a conference. But these are some quotes he's provided. Now, the AU Library has been a long-time supporter of open access, and Stephen, as our director, of course, has been as well. So he says, OA, open access, provides significant opportunities for both the authors and users. It need not clash with traditional models of scholarly communication and publication. Authors contribute their work for immediate discovery and access, for debate, review, scholarship, and usage. Users have immediate access to the most recently contributed works. We also have some references, so of course DSpace, if you're interested in finding out more, there's the DSpace Federation, AU Space, which I hope everybody here goes and has a look at, our research policy, which Tony linked to before, as well as some other relevant links to open access and open access policies. Okay, so we'll be happy to take any questions now. Thank you.
I'm going to let Alan jump in here. I know he had a question much earlier in the presentation. So Alan, do you want to grab the mic and discuss that with Tony and Colin?
Sure. My question had to do with ensuring quality and value, and traditionally, whether it's worked well or not may be something to discuss at another point, but the use of peer review for anything that gets published through print journals was kind of the mechanism to ensure, hopefully, that kind of quality. Can you say a word about the people that you use to kind of vet things that have been proposed for inclusion in the repository?